Good evening, and welcome to the National Sports Talk Show. Host, live streaming on Facebook Live, Twitch, and our Positional Sports Talk Show YouTube channel. We are a sports talk show made for the fans, from the perspective of fans, presented by lifelong sports fans. We will provide our opinions, positions on the hottest topics in sports this evening. My name is Big Reg, and I'm joined by my partners in crime. I got the crew together today. What's going on, J3? How you feeling this evening?
Man, I'm feeling great. What's up? What's up? What up?
The professor's back in the building. How you feeling this evening, Professor J?
What's up, Big Reg? What's up, Ed? What's up, J3? What's up, Sense? Hey, man, all I can say is prayers are going up and blessings are coming down. Praise the Lord. Let's get it.
Let's do this. Sense is in the building. One of the crew. What's going on, Big Sense? How you feeling, my brother?
Sixth man of the year.
I'll take that. Feeling good, feeling great, fellas. Good to be here. Let's talk some sports.
And in the building again, back-to-back weeks, my man Ed. Good to have you here, brother. What's going on?
Hey, man, I'm just happy to see all these friendly faces online. Ready to talk sports. Let's do this.
All right, this evening, we're going to hit the NBA. We got to do the finals.
Wow.
Got to talk about the draft. It's this Thursday. Free agency starts next week.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got to get into this NCAA. Wow. Bombshells dropped starting last week, and they continue to happen today. Something just went down today. I saw it like 5 o'clock today that I wasn't expecting. So the NCAA is getting ready to change forever. Do a little NFL training camp updates. Got to talk Summer Olympics and what's going on with things in the Summer Olympics. We're going to get into one of J3's favorite topics, mental health. Some other topics that caught our attention in our final post of the evening. As always, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. So please sit back and relax and enjoy post on the Positional Sports Talk Show channel. Fellas, all I can say is the Giannis Antetokounmpo show was in full effect Game 6.
That's all.
I don't want to steal anybody's thunder, so I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to let y'all go ahead and let me know what y'all thought. But again, the Antetokounmpo show was on full effect. So what y'all think about what happened in Game 6? Obviously, the Bucks are the NBA champions, winning 4 straight.
Man, for real, I think Professor J should just go ahead and go hard because he was the only one from day one that said that they were going to win. So, Professor J, please shine some light on.
Whoa.
Floor is yours,
Whoa. I said that before the season started.
Okay, we give you that. we talking about when the series started for the playoffs.
Come on, Professor J.
You right.
Allow me to clear my throat. We always keep it real on this show. And y'all laughed at me because I've been with the Bucks for the last 2 years. And when they got beat last year, y'all laughed me out the studio. And then I came back this year and I said, y'all know what? Forget KD, forget Irving, and forget James Harden. They going to steal the show. Now, I didn't know it was going to happen through injuries and stuff like that. I don't care. The fact of the matter is Giannis did his thing. He raised that trophy. He also got the MVP. You know, sports is about attrition. We say that all the time. So injuries are a part of the game. We don't say it against anybody else. So y'all watch your mouths and don't say it against the Bucks. Because they did their thing, they went through adversity. Yes, thank you, BJ. I will take the spoils of my victory. And I can't get there. I was hoping it got here by the day because I was going to rock that joint.
We know.
I will wear my new championship Bucks hat that my man BJ kept his promise and he delivered. So all I got to say, fellas, they already talking about running it back. Now that Aaron Rodgers is staying there for one more year and they running it back, y'all saw the fist bump that Aaron Rodgers and his man did to ode to The Last Dance. So, hey, you might see a Green Bay championship, but I'm not a Green Bay fan. We ain't gonna get that twisted. But off to Giannis, the man, the MVP. He is doing his thing. All y'all out there that laughed at me when I said the Bucks, now y'all eating crows. Go ahead and taste it and lick it.
I'm definitely gonna say I was surprised, man, because when Phoenix came out 2-0, I was like, oh my goodness, they're gonna go ahead and sweep them off the game. And next thing you know, slowly but surely, game by game, Milwaukee just stayed in there. They played their game. They never went outside their range. They stayed tight, played to the end, and won 4 games in a row. Yes, sir.
Can I use your move flag on the play? Because I need to address Marcus real quick. First of all, his name is Giannis Antetokounmpo. So Big Red's not the only one. Not being impressed with a finals performance that is compared to Magic Johnson back when Kareem got hurt and he put up 14 rebounds, 5 blocks. How could you not be impressed with that, Marcus? Come on. I want you to clap back at me on that. But how could you not be impressed with that kind of performance? I'm giving you a technical foul on that one.
But you know what, Professor J, it's not so much. I think that was just a culmination. That performance, that 50.14 and 2 assists or whatever it was. I think that was just a culmination of his ascension to the top of the NBA. And I actually respect it so much because, you know, so many times these players want to jump teams and create super teams. And I'm not criticizing them for doing that. It is, you know, everybody makes decisions based on, you know, what they feel is best for them. But I respect the heck out of Giannis because he fell flat on his face multiple times. In fact, 2 years as an MVP, 2 years in a row, fell flat on his face. Coach was in trouble, which I still think that was justified, even though coach won it. We've seen coaches win championships before that was just basically in spite of them. Right. Yes. But I'm just so impressed with Giannis and how he came from nowhere. I mean, literally, the rappers like to say the gutter and the mud these days. I guess that's popular. But Giannis just totally fulfilled all the promises and expectations that was placed on him maybe a little too early the last week with the champion, with raising that trophy. And I'm just I was just so impressed with it. And when I was watching the game, it reminded me of something that I've always felt, where they say a good big man always beats a good little man. And I remember when the Wizards made that trade a long time ago, and I think it was was it Mitch Richmond and Rashid went to Portland? Was that the trade? Was that I believe that was a trade? And I was screaming at the top of my lungs, no. And it wasn't because Mitch Richmond wasn't that all-star type player, but it was just that Rashid, maybe he was a little immature at the time, but he was the big all-star, you know. And I was looking at Giannis. Flash forward, 20 years or so, and I'm seeing Giannis do his thing, and there was nothing anyone can do about it.
Yeah, he grew up in the playoffs, but most definitely in this series, he was humble enough to realize that he didn't have to be the quote unquote man at the end of the game, and was willing to let Middleton close, and was fine with that. He was humble enough to, I'm not going to stop trying to go to the free throw line, even though they heckle me on the line on national TV. I'm still going to do that. And then once he realized that his knee was okay after game one, that man dropped 2 40s and a 50.
Because he actually had a good game.
Over 5 game series. 2 40-point games and a 50-point game over 5 games.
And you can stack that up against anybody.
Yeah, and I just want to say one thing. I also want to give him his props for just staying the course. Despite all the heckling, despite all the, trolling, he's, stayed playing his game. When it was like, oh, Giannis, you need to go to this team, that team, sign the Supermax, stayed, with the Bucks, and, it paid off for him. So salute.
He still takes more than 10 seconds to shoot a free throw, just so y'all know that.
He hated though.
A lot of players do. A lot of players do.
I'm just saying.
We think
17 for 19. Just remember that. And a close.
I would too. You give me 20 seconds to shoot a free throw, I'm gonna take my time too.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so my question is, with this performance, does this put Giannis ahead or equal with Dirk Nowitzki as the best European ever to play in the NBA yet?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet. Only because of this. Only because of this.
Longevity? Okay.
Only because of that.
Dirk ain't got 2 MVPs.
I know, but I mean,
Yeah, but how many years did Dirk play?
He played 20. He played 20 years in Dallas.
right.
That's a long time, bro.
That's the only reason, because longevity counts.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't like he was a 6 man. No offense, Sense. It wasn't like he was a 6 man. You know, he was actually the star for 20 years.
I think
Maybe for 18. The last 2 he held on.
Hey, let me ask you this. So how many players does Vince Carter pass because of his longevity?
Ooh.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
Well, I do think Vince is a Hall of Famer, but I don't think he's on the same level as like Dirk. I think Dirk was a better overall player than Vince Carter.
Dirk, if you say that Giannis can't get past Dirk, then because of longevity's sake, how many players does my man Vince Carter pass?
Well, okay, but to clarify the situation between Dirk and Giannis, I just think they're contemporaries. I think they're eye to eye. Mm-hmm. But I just think that, and I don't think Vince is on their level. But to answer your question,
McGrady. See, that's why I wish Jay Wills was on here, because we named some players that we think weren't Hall of Famers, and I think his name, McGrady's name, came up and somebody else's. So if you put Vince Carter, do you say he surpasses people like Tracy McGrady, or he's behind him?
Here's the problem. I never looked. There was never a season that I looked at Vince Carter and said he was the best player in the NBA. There were seasons that I could argue that T-Mac was the best player in the NBA. I could argue it. He may not have been because he was with Kobe and them. I mean,
Well, if we compare, then how would y'all compare Grant Hill to Tracy McGrady or Vince Carter?
We can't because of his injury.
Yeah, he's dookie. He goes down.
Grant Hill might have been better than all of them, but we'll never know because of the injury.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
he was on pace, though.
The reason why I brought up the Dirk thing is because I think longevity plays a part in that, but you also got to think Dirk didn't play this other side of the court. Dirk was horrific defensively.
Yeah.
When you add Giannis, multiple time All NBA plus Defensive Player of the Year,
multiple times,
on top of all the offensive stuff, I think if he's not past him, I think he's right there with him as the best European.
But again, how many years has Giannis been in the league now?
8 years.
I think since 13.
8 years.
8 years. I mean, 20 years compared to 8. I mean,
I understand, but he's accomplished more in his 8 than Dirk did in 20.
Right. I give you that. Yeah, no, I give you that. I'm just talking about as far as longevity goes, you still got to weigh that in as a factor.
I hear you. And if Giannis happens to get another championship,
then it's
and it's an MVP, then we got to start bringing up the other non-foreigner who's
a king,
universally viewed as the best non-foreigner ever to play basketball. If he gets another title, we got to start talking about him with the Dream.
No, I don't care. Dream. I know. I don't think so yet. I don't know.
Okay. I mean,
let's take a poll.
Hold on, Ed. Think about this though. You never seen Akeem out on the 3-point line.
But good, because that's where big men should be down in the paint. But
I understand.
But here's the thing about the Dream, and we can't escape this. The Dream was smack dab. They got drafted at the same time. Him and Michael Jordan were their careers exactly paralleled one another. So Michael, if many consider him the greatest of all time, and he has the hardware to prove it, think about it. When Dream got his two 2 rings
only
back
got
to
him
back.
Mike wasn't in the league.
Mike retired and then he came back, so he was
Right.
still shaking that rust off. So the Dream may have had more had it not been for Mr. Jordan.
And also,
But there's a lot of players that would have had it.
Dream played with in the era of Patrick Ewing,
Yeah, that was
David Robinson, Tim Duncan.
Yes.
Right.
So he had the monsters that he was dealing with, and all of them say,
Yeah.
Dream was a problem.
And I'm not disrespecting Giannis, because I hate when a lot of time people say, well, okay, well, they look at the era because that they played in, and I'm not totally dismissing that because I don't want to disrespect Giannis, because he did it. I mean, he paid his dues. He didn't jump ship. He signed an extension. He did it in Milwaukee. Milwaukee?
Yeah.
Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
that shows you if an organization, because remember when he first got there was a different ownership team.
Mm-hmm.
He got a billionaire owner. The billionaire owner built a new arena, was willing to spend money, and not only spend money but take care of Giannis. Hell, he planned his brother to really be a cheerleader.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And also, can we just one time just give a salute to all 3 brothers now being NBA champions?
That's crazy.
Well, since the only reason the other brother is on the Lakers is because they thought they had a chance with Giannis.
Look, man, raining on my play, man. You gonna stop coming from the coach, man.
I like the Lakers. What do you mean? I like the Lakers.
Just wait till we
That's
talk about
cute.
the Clippers. You just wait.
That was real.
I'm just saying, I like the Lakers.
All right, moving on. As I mentioned earlier, the
Still
NBA draft is this Thursday. This has been a crazy off season because of the COVID and everything, pushing everything back. But the draft is Thursday. Draft is 2 days away. The projected top 5 selections are Cade Cunningham, 6'8", point guard / combo guard out of Oklahoma State, freshman. Jalen Green, who is going to make proof that you don't have to do the college route and still be a top pick. He was one of the first people to go to the G League and get paid. He made $500,000 last year playing in the G League and playing against professional basketball players. They might not all be NBA caliber, but some of them were. He's projected to be the number 2 pick, 6'6", 186. He's a shooting guard. You got Evan Mobley, who is the closest comparison a slightly taller Chris Bosh.
Mm-hmm.
Very slim. He's 7 foot, legit 7 feet, and got an arm span of like 7'6". But he likes to dribble. He can shoot the 3 a little bit. He can handle the ball. So he's not a center. He's a power forward in the NBA game, unless you're trying to play small ball, but he can move. Mm-hmm. My man Jalen Suggs of Gonzaga, who I personally think was the best player on one of the best teams last year. As a freshman, he took over that senior laden team and drove Gonzaga.
Yeah.
And then they lost.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got some other people. There's a young fella out of Congo, 6'8" forward, Jonathan Kuminga, who a lot of people haven't heard about, who's projected to be a top 5, top 7 pick. And then, of course, you got your Scotty Barnes, Florida State, Davion Mitchell, Baylor, James Bouknight, UConn, Keon Johnson, Tennessee, Franz Wagner of Michigan, the younger brother of the Wagner that plays for the Wizards. So you got some interesting teams, players coming out.
Man, don't forget him. The Sumu, I think his name is.
Say that again, Sense?
Ayo Desumu, the one that they used to call the masked man when he was in the.
Yeah. Out of Illinois, didn't he play for Illinois?
Yeah, he played for Illinois.
He was a bad man. He's a classic 3-and-D type player coming into the NBA. Long, lean. There's a lot of them. They're projecting that this draft might be close to the draft that produced LeBron, Melo, Bosh, D Wade, and that is also deep.
Time will tell.
Yeah. So is there anything that y'all looking forward to in the draft or think you're looking forward to seeing whether it's a play or whether it's a team making moves? Because there's a couple of teams that sound like they're positioned to try to make some moves come Thursday.
I think
I'm curious.
But the Warriors and the Wizards.
Yeah, I was just about to say
I think
that.
the Warriors and the Wizards. I think I think the Wizards, like you mentioned last week. I believe it was last week when you said I don't know if we mentioned it on air or if this was an off-air conversation we were all having, but you were saying that the best thing that you thought that the Wizards should do moving forward would be to trade not only Bill, who's been in trade talks for at least at the minimum last 2 years, maybe even 3, and Westbrook on top of that, and flip that for picks and maybe a young player, rising player. But one of the interesting rumors I've heard is Bill to Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
That would be an interesting move as far as getting Weissman back, who was the number 2 overall pick out of Memphis last year. And some also the picks, basically the draft for the Warriors, which I think they have
7 and 14.
14, yeah. So that would be an interesting pick. And if you're the Wizards, I think you should maximize your assets, and you can actually gain back assets because like we were talking about, right now the Wizards, I think they squeaked into the playoffs last year. Even at best, when you consider they probably upgraded their coaching staff, even with that considered, okay, so you're talking about maybe anywhere between a 5 to still 8th seed. I think this team deserves better than that. This organization deserves better than that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. He has to make a decision before draft night, obviously, but I don't see Bradley Beal having the patience to go through another kind of process with a new coach. I mean, I think he's win now, and I have a sneaky suspicion that the Wizards are going to be in rebuild mode.
There's 2 teams that I want to see what they're going to do. I want to see what the Raptors are going to do now that Kyle Lowry has left the building. I wonder who they're going to select to fill his shoes. And then the second team is the Grizzlies. I'd like to see what they're going to do with to give Ja Morant some help, because they got a nice nucleus, but they need a little bit more firepower to be contenders.
The first thing they need to do down at the Grizzlies is figure out how to keep Junior healthy, because he's been hurting for 2 years. If they can keep him healthy with Ja Morant and continue to add pieces, that would be nice. But yeah, that's going to be interesting to see.
Apparently, they're flipping Eric Bledsoe. He's not going to be staying with Memphis from what the reports are saying. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with him.
No big loss for Memphis.
He's just a journeyman, man. He's just a journeyman.
Yeah, at this point he is. I expected more out of Bledsoe, but anyway, also I think the Lakers are at a crossroads too, because they have to figure out they need to find a reliable number 2. They do. Because LeBron at this point in time could easily be a facilitator, a point forward. That's easy. But I don't know if they have a point guard on that roster.
I heard they get ready renew Schroeder's contract for 4 years.
No. They don't see him as a starter there. They see him as a 6th man and nothing more. So their primary focus is to find a point guard. You have options out there. I would even go as far and don't troll, but I would even try to not Westbrook. I would even holler at Houston to see what's up with John Wall. He don't want to stay there. I mean,
they don't want another. They don't want another inch of body, and they can't take Wall's contract. And Wall ain't giving no money back. That's one thing I know for sure. Wall ain't giving no money back.
For a trade. What if he asks for a trade?
You don't have any. In the NBA, you have to match salary per salary within 10%.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you going to give to match that $40 million salary that John Wall makes now?
Give up a couple picks. I mean, a couple players for them if they really want them.
They don't have anybody.
But again,
There's two people.
It's like worst case scenario. More than likely, it's either going to be Westbrook or Lowry. I'm just saying worst case scenario. If we don't,
you can't do Westbrook either.
Even Ricky Rubio.
Y'all don't have any money in LA.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, I mean,
because of how they maneuvered to get AD and all that. They don't have any cap space to get that. The rumor that I heard today, believe it's on ESPN, is that they're trying to talk, or there's been some back channel discussions with DeMar DeRozan. Because DeRozan, I think, is tired of being in San Antonio not winning.
Of course.
He's a Cali guy.
He never wanted to go there.
Exactly.
Right.
So maybe DeRozan would be willing to come play for the Lakers at a discount. Because all the Lakers have to offer is the $9.5 million veteran exception.
Level exception, right. So it had to be via sign and trade.
Right. But even with sign and trade, you got to do match for match. Now, if they can pull out something that somebody wants Schroeder and do a sign and trade with Schroeder to get another guard, but still, you're only talking about a $15 to $20 million player. You're not talking a $40 million player or anything like that. So
what about Dame time? Dame time?
No money.
They don't have anything to give.
No money. I mean, besides picks, what we going to be giving future first round picks up until the year 3000?
But I wonder if Schroeder is really that good.
I don't think
He's
so.
not.
His
His
locker room stuff is terrible.
Right, because he was playing, don't forget, he thrived next to Chris Paul. So
his head got big and he thought he was a starter.
Was he really that good? But as you mentioned, Big Reg, I think the three interesting athletes that may change hands or have the potential, at least as far as draft night, you have Bill, Lillard, and Simmons.
Yep.
So those are the three. Now, of course, we all know Bill and not Simmons, but Bill and Dame, they can get traded anytime they feel like it. They can get traded in the middle of the season, like
I'm done.
Yeah.
they wake up in the morning and say enough's enough.
Now Simmons don't have that type of pull, right? But
because he don't shoot.
Oh well,
yeah.
Okay, a serious question. All of y'all are Chris Paul. You got $44.2 million. All you got to do is say I opt in. After what happened in the finals, do you opt out with the hopes of getting a 2 or 3 year deal, not for as much per year, but more money in total?
So does Chris Paul want to end his career being about the money or about a chip?
Exactly.
If it's about a chip, I opt out and I find a way to join LeBron and the Lakers since they need a point guard.
And they would right the wrong of 2011. It would be 10 years to when that trade was vetoed.
Yeah,
so that would
stand David Stern. I know he's rolling over in his grave, but I can't stand him for vetoing that trade because he would have taken Kobe back then. That's what I would opt out.
I didn't even think of that. That's awesome right there. You're right. You're right, Professor, because you're right. Is it really about does he want a ring or does he want money? Because
even if he goes to LA, it doesn't guarantee he's gonna win a ring.
Man, it does not. But he got a better
the Clippers.
That team
we see what happened with the Clippers.
It's going to be better with the Lakers, I think, next year, assuming health with AD, which is a big assumption, than staying at the Suns.
They said
everything worked right for the Suns this year, and that's not going to happen next year.
Well, they say AD
still ain't get it.
Billy Blanks.
Yeah.
He's doing Tybo or whatever it's called. He's gonna get his body right.
AD got read the riot act by the Lakers and by LeBron.
Do you think so?
Oh yeah, AD got something to prove.
Absolutely.
But I thought he was
prove.
Yeah,
I thought he was already working out with
LeBron. I'm gonna mark them words.
No, he wasn't. LeBron working out.
I thought he was already.
Nah. So I think we will see a different AD, but still his body is his body, so we don't know if that's a thing. Right. But this is definitely the offseason of point guards. Y'all mentioned Kyle Lowry earlier. You also got Mike Conley out there. You got Derrick Rose that's going to be out there.
Is anybody under 20? Is anybody under 30?
Lonzo Ball is an unrestricted free agent, and supposedly not an unrestricted, restricted free agent. Supposedly, if the money gets up too high, New Orleans the one. Look, Lonzo Ball, the second half of last season,
he was balling.
Not only did he improve his jump shot, he was shooting close to 40% from three. He was actually balling again and got his confidence back.
He was like,
he wasn't playing with LeBron.
Me.
Well, yeah, he wasn't trying to get shown. Stop it.
Because he wasn't playing with the Lakers.
You
Cameron Payne going to be out there.
Okay.
A sleeper that I like is Reggie Jackson.
Now I'd rather have Reggie than anybody you just mentioned.
If the Lakers can't get
don't you know
Chris Paul to come, I would, instead of paying Schroeder the $20 million plus the $25 million he want, I would give Reggie Jackson $15 million. You ain't got to move.
Mm-hmm.
Make more money than you ever made. Sometimes you'll run a point, but a lot of times you'll be the off guard, and he'll be happy with that. And you hurt the Clippers.
But we getting Lowry. Don't worry about that. We getting Lowry. But anyway,
Chris Paul would be the better point guard.
Well, CP3. But yeah, Phoenix ain't trying to work with the Lakers. You already know that. So
yeah.
I mean,
yeah. That's why CP3 would have to opt out to make that happen.
He would have to opt out.
That's my call.
Well, he's not opted. I mean, if that's the case, he's not opting out to get. I mean, he's not going from 44 to 9.
If you made $300 million, if it's really about the ring,
right, you got
but is it really about the ring at this point?
Hey, don't forget.
I guess we're gonna find out.
Can just hand him whatever he needs.
Yeah. He would make $300 million in 300 plus million in contracts. We're not even talking about the advertising stuff money and the production companies and all that. So money shouldn't be the drive back.
For him on the back end. Come on, man.
But it's hard to walk away from $44 million. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Last thing on the NBA, so we can move on. Do the Sixers move Ben Simmons Thursday night?
They got to, man.
They have to. Yeah.
They have to. But I mean, I'm just curious who would pick him up. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, what deals are out there? That's the only thing.
They keep.
Supposedly, they've been talking to a lot of teams about the possibility. The only thing, again, that makes sense to me is to work out a deal with Portland.
For Dame.
Not for Dame, no, because they're not getting Dame for CJ McCollum.
For CJ, yeah.
That gives 76ers a shooter who opens up space for the big fella. And it gives Portland a guy that can take the point some off of
Big Pump
Dame and play defense, which neither one of them do in Portland. So
what about Carmelo? What about Carmelo? Because I heard he's trying to roll out.
Carmelo free agent. Carmelo just be happy to be in the league next year.
LA Lakers bench
sign with Braun. He's gonna be right with Braun and AD.
He's been trying to get down there. LeBron ain't been trying to have it, so we'll see. All right, we got to move on because we got to talk about the big subject. NCAA got rocked. News leaked out last Thursday, I believe, that Oklahoma and Texas were thinking about joining the SEC.
Money.
It went from thinking Thursday, or maybe it was Wednesday, to by Friday. A newspaper in Houston reported that discussions have been going on back channel for over 6 months.
That's crazy.
Between Oklahoma and Texas about joining the SEC.
They want that money, bro. They want that money.
I thought they hated each other.
They want that money, bro. Come on now.
They know they're the biggest two draws in the Big 12.
Yep.
And it makes sense so they can keep their rivalry together. That one moves, that they move together. So you got two universities moving together, two supposed rivals, to go to the SEC. And by Monday, they had submitted the information to Big 12. We are not renewing our rights agreement. We done. And today, they formally submitted their application to join the SEC.
That wasn't even a week.
Now they say July 1st, 2025, but we all know that's going to be soon.
But that they can buy out. They can get out of that.
And Thursday, the SEC meets with their presidents and chancellors to discuss Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC in a week.
Actually, it was 3 business days, if that. So, okay, so there's a lot to unfold right here. So, first of all, why? That's the question. J3, anytime you want, you can jump in here. Why is this happening?
They want to make it rain. They want to make it rain.
I knew something was coming.
So, I don't understand. I don't understand this movement. I don't necessarily know how it would necessarily be beneficial, and maybe someone can explain this to me. How can it? Why would it be beneficial for Texas and Oklahoma to flee, to bounce from the Big 12?
This past year, the TV deal, the SEC generated $730 million.
Right.
Divided by their 14 schools. That's $52 million.
Right.
The Big 12 generated $412 million divided by their 10 schools. So that's
$11 million.
$11 million a year. That's the current deal. The SEC deal ends in 2023, and the new deal starts in 2024.
How convenient. That's
the new deal is projected without Oklahoma and Texas to be north of $900 million. With Oklahoma and Texas, $1.2 billion annually.
Right.
So now you're talking about $75 million per year. Yeah. That's before you sell a ticket.
Big difference.
That's before you do any of your advertising, anything. You walk in with $75 million.
So here's the issue.
That's the site money.
Did the SEC approach Texas and Oklahoma, or did Oklahoma and Texas approach them? Because the SEC don't need Texas and Oklahoma to get $1 billion.
I believe Oklahoma and Texas were the ones who approached it. Because don't forget, when we had the big realignments previously, Texas approached the Pac-12 about joining the Pac-12. And they were supposed to be bringing Oklahoma with them, and then the Big 12 said you can do your own network and all that.
But that triggered Texas A&M to leave the Big 12 at the time, and come to the SEC. But that's the issue. How is Texas A&M taking all this?
Oh, they pissed.
They pissed. You see what I'm saying? They had Texas locked down as far as an SEC school.
Oh, recruiting, they had taken over Texas as far as recruiting. Yeah, Texas A&M might be the only school that objects to this because they had no idea. The AD was pissed. The coach was pissed. The AD even said the reason we left the Big 12 is because we wanted to be the only team in the state of Texas in the SEC.
I think realistically, the two SEC teams that should scream the loudest would be obviously A&M. You're talking about, less than 2 hours separates them two schools, and then you have to consider LSU as the other school that would say, okay, well, why do you want to, because that's Texas is LSU's hotbed recruiting.
I feel you.
So, but I guess at the end of the day,
a lot more interesting than
saying we'll beat them all, bring them all.
That's it.
Ed ain't scared of nobody.
I don't think Ed too long for LSU is if all this stuff to keep popping off in LSU keep them true. So, but again, when you go to Texas A&M, you can say we made $52 million this past year. We'll make 55 in the next couple of years. If these two teams join us, you're gonna make $20 more million a year minimum.
That's a lot more zeros to Jimbo's contract.
That's a lot more zero. That $20 million extra finances the rest of your athletic program.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wonder what role, if any, the NIL situation played in all this.
I think that played a role in this because they see the landscape changing.
Mm-hmm.
They see the NCAA, at least as far as big-time football and big-time basketball, eventually getting to a point where the conference is going to say, we don't need you. Right now, the NCAA owns the rights of the NCAA men's tournament, basketball tournament, but they don't have anything to do with the college football playoffs. So they've already excluded them out of that, which is
good.
The big money. So they can basically tell NCAA pound sand, and we can start our own basketball tournament, or we'll share some revenue with you for that for a few years until y'all just get out of here. Because super conferences coming. This is what we're leading to. We're leading to 16 to 20 team super conferences, and I think 2 or 3 will survive, and that's going to be the end of it. And everybody else will be like Division I AA. Y'all can play football or basketball if you want to, but you're not going to get on TV.
But here's what's going to here's my theory as far as how the NIL is playing all in this. I think that with the increased revenues, I think when these colleges are looking at the landscape and saying, okay, now we can officially pay these players, not directly, but we can it would be easier to funnel money to these guys. We need as much in our war chest as possible. Now, Texas should have no problem as far as their war chest. There's people that you never see at Texas. Well, they're the richest.
They're the richest
public school in the country. Right. They're the second richest university in the country after Harvard. So the money should be no object. But I think they were looking at the landscape and say, okay, we're going to enter into a wild, wild west. And how do we keep up and compete? And I think with the increased revenue and the notoriety, of the SEC, it's a plain fact that, and this is all about football. This has nothing to do with those other sports. Those other sports are just fodder. They don't care about the other sports. This is all about the football contracts. And I think that they looked at the landscape and said, okay, how do we keep up? First of all, we need to be associated with that conference. And the extra money is certainly a plus, where we can actually funnel it into facilities and funnel it into towards the players and coaches.
Because don't forget that the UFC gym owner who's offered to pay each Miami Hurricane player $500 a month for the school year just to tweet about his gym.
Right.
That's only going to cost him like $400,000 a year.
Right.
So just imagine you get ready to pick up extra $20 million. You could pay all the football players $1,000 a month, plus whatever they can make on the NIL, but give them $1,000 a month stipend, and it costs you less than $1 million.
And see, this was the problem all along with the NCAA, and this is how come the NCAA should have been smarter than they thought they were, and they should have came up with a solution years ago and figured out a way, especially when they started seeing the landscape change, and figure out a way to drop that sham of amateurism and try to figure out how to get these players money, because now you've entered into a wild, wild west situation. There's going to be money flowing, and think about it. The SEC is getting ready to go into a deal, you said approaching or exceeding $1 billion, right? A year. Now, had this NIL situation not came down the pipe, that contract would have still been signed.
Yep.
So what I'm saying is that money would have been all in the NCAA execs' coffers, university presidents, head coaches, etc., but none to the players. So it just points out the hypocrisy of hiding behind college athletics as a pure amateur situation. It's not. This is professional football at its finest. Heck, their contracts rival the NFL contracts.
Getting close. And BJ, I think what's going to happen with HBCUs, doing all this is some notoriety that they're getting thanks to some of the coaches that are coming back to them. There will be players who would have gone to some of these less productive Big 5 teams now that are going to end up getting left out that may start going to HBCUs, and you're going to have networks that are out there looking to add programming. So they'll be able to pick up some programming, which will pick up some dollars. They prove that they can play, and that all snowballs. So they may not be a Power 5 revenue generator, but they could be like a All-American Conference generator. I think that's the way HBCUs are going, because athletes are now, because of NIL, realizing that if I can bring my own brand to that, make some money, I can bring the notoriety with me. If I get 2 or 3 guys to come with me to an HBCU, we can do some things.
Because we talking about the new school. These new school kids are savvy, and they're well schooled on social media, and they're creating brands literally when they're 10.
Yep.
So the HBCUs, they don't necessarily have to die. I mean, all it takes is a couple of these kids. They go there, they can ball. They getting some change. They can legally make change.
Speaking of legally making change, go ahead, J3. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, don't forget about Miss Bezos, who's donating millions of dollars to these HBCU schools as well. So that's going to help them continue to progress as well.
Absolutely.
Did you see the power flex that Nick Saban did last week? He just happened to drop a comment while he was at the Texas High School Coaches
Recruiting
Association.
So that's our brand.
Saying, yeah, my man Bryce Young ain't even hit the field yet, but he got some ungodly figure, as the exact quote, getting close to 7 figures. He ain't even played.
A million.
In that song.
What that shows, though, to me, is Bryce Young and his parents are smart.
Brandon Early.
He's from California. They understood marketing, and they hired Creative Artists Association, which is one of the huge international ad marketers and agents. And CAA is saying, we get our foot in the door with a possible future NFL starting quarterback, we will be his rep when he gets his NFL contract. So we go start it earlier. So it is crazy.
And they have a foothold into the University of Alabama.
And they're getting a foothold into Alabama. Absolutely. Right. So Nick was flexing. He wasn't just, because he also made this. If you come out, if you want to get paid, come to Alabama. Because I got guys that ain't even played the game really, get ready to get almost $1 million by the time they leave here.
Nice.
Imagine if you were a star.
Nice.
So I think that's going to start the war between schools. So this whole landscape is going to change.
Yeah, but I'm so curious to see how these schools in Texas, like when SMU got in trouble, Texas was like doing this what's going on now, but behind technically behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And so now that these schools can actively pay these people now, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be
like gangbusters, man. Like
it's going to be interesting.
Trying to recruit a Texas high school kid to not go to Alabama.
Yeah. But I'm just concerned with how this is going to affect these young kids. Like, now that you have 18, 19.
It's like anything else. You're going to have the horror stories and you're going to have the good stories.
Watch what I tell you. Work ethic in these kids are going to improve drastically now, because they can actually see that they can have an opportunity to make, like you said, 6 and 7 figures from the jump. I'm telling you, coaches ain't gonna have to work as hard as they've been working lately.
Hey, can I say this?
Yes, sir.
What's gonna happen when the next LeBron James, but in football, coming out of high school, is now the showcase that's on ESPN, that's on Fox Sports, that everybody wants to follow? Now that the name, image, and likeness is now starting to trickle and influence so many other sports. Since we're mentioning high school, then what about that quarterback or that running back or that star linebacker that's coming out of high school, and now everybody wants to sink their claws into him. Wouldn't those contracts still trickle down to them as well?
Yes, it's already happened in high school basketball. Football.
I'm saying football.
But if it's already happened in basketball, and that just happened last week. I forget the young man's name, but he plays with Bronny. Yeah, Mikey Williams. Mikey Williams is going to be a millionaire before he hits college. He just signed with an agency, and Mikey Williams has something like 4.5 million followers between his different social media things. So they say Mikey Williams is going to be a millionaire before he hits college. So absolutely, that's coming for football. Once somebody gets, especially for the quarterbacks, big time receivers, the running backs don't get as much love anymore. Big time defensive ends. And if they develop their social media following early, it's going to be monsters. And coaches are going to have to change, because guess what now? Now you got people that coming in that got money from the jump.
Yes.
So you ain't gonna talk to me and treat me anyway.
I ain't running that win sprint.
Their own representation.
And you talk to my agent about that.
Yeah, but I agree with what J3 said. Y'all saying I ain't gonna run that wind sprint, but I think their work ethic will change and get much better as opposed to going in the other direction.
Yeah, practice. I think you'll get both. I think
the only thing better than getting money. The only thing better than
still go to class.
More money.
If they want to be, if they go to Alabama, they're going to class.
Okay,
that you want me to practice?
They going to class.
They go to Notre Dame, they're going to class. Absolutely. There are some places you're going to have to do that, but there will be some others where
University
that might be optional.
Hey, man, I'm gonna make it rain. I'm going down to the
University of Miami.
Don't comfort you.
Ain't doing nothing in Clemson either. Don't say nothing to me, Dabo. They ain't going to class.
University of Miami.
What the coaches will have to hang over them is, you're not doing what you're going to do, you're not playing.
Right.
So and those deals.
So how long is that deal going to last if you're not doing what you're going to do? So
exactly.
So that brings us to the big boys. NFL training camp officially kicks off this week. Most teams started reporting today. The rest of them will start reporting tomorrow. So the drama is finally over.
Garbage, some straight garbage. I'm
Came back.
off. Man, he ain't stick to his guns.
Well, it sounds they both capitulated a little bit.
Yeah, they kind of met in the middle.
Aaron Rodgers compromised.
He don't want to be there.
I know he doesn't want to be there, but his choice was not be there and start paying $50,000 a day fines, plus have them possibly go after his signing bonus that he's already received for this year, and some other things where he could have ended up owing them almost $30 million. Versus working something out to try to get himself out of there. So they voided the last year of his contract, which was 2023. And supposedly there's a handshake deal. If I was Aaron, I would have it in writing.
Get that in writing. Right.
Yeah. That this is my last year and at the end of the year. But right now, as it's reported, the terms are that they will revisit getting him traded if he still wants to leave. The fact that they're going to when they make some big decisions, they're going to ask for his input.
As Aaron Rodgers, if you were Aaron Rodgers, would you tank this season?
No, because
I would go out on a high note.
You've been knocking on the door to a Super Bowl the last 2 to 3 years. You're good enough to win a championship. Win that thing and walk off into the sunset like Barry Trotz did with the Capitals. You know what? We don't like each other. Cool. But I'm going to will this team to a Super Bowl victory, and then I'm going to walk away. That's my handshake. I'm done. Give me my MVP. Give me my Super Bowl trophy. And then you, Mr. Murphy, I know you're a former Washington player, but you can stick it.
I like it. I like your optimism, Professor J. I like your optimism. I really do.
Yeah.
And I don't like
Devontae Adams put that thing in social media.
Yeah, and I think that they realized that Aaron had a little more power because talks start breaking down with them and Devontae Adams that they was trying to do a long-term deal. So chances are they're gonna lose Aaron next year, and then Devontae Adams the year after that because his contract is up this year. I'm sure they're gonna franchise tag him, so they'll be able to hold on to him for a year. But then he's gonna be out of there unless the youngin Jordan Love can play. So.
Well, yeah. Well, see, this is great for Aaron because what it is he knows he has the option at the end of this year to bounce, but then it's also good for Green Bay, and it's a partnership, so to speak. So it's also good for Green Bay because they can actually observe what's Love doing as far as his practice reps and what he's looking like in the preseason or what have, or maybe in mop-up duty if he gets mop-up duty. And then they can make an assessment at the end of the year. By that time, by the end of year 2, whether or not you got on the field or not, you should know if that dude can play.
True. And
Aaron Rodgers, in the meantime, he's still peeping this dude out behind him. He's like, okay, how much more leverage do I have than I already have, which is 100% right now.
Right.
So yeah, I think it works out for both. I think it works out for everybody. And then again, at the end of this year, think about it. The contract situations that they were doling out this year, it was okay. But think about it. Hopefully COVID is over next year. Hopefully.
And there's a new deal hitting into not this season, not next season after that new deal hits. So he could get traded to a team, have 1 year left, and get 3 years at some 2 or 3 years at some crazy money. So
he's 37 right now, 36?
37.
And you think about, 40 is the magic number now for QBs. You can easily.
As long as you got a good offensive line, you're absolutely right. Ed. You're absolutely right.
And you take care of your body and commit to it. So
avocado ice cream.
Uh-oh, here we go.
The other interesting thing that happened, which was a smart move, Deshaun Watson reported to camp.
That's like Elvis coming back. We haven't seen him. When's the last time you seen Deshaun?
He's not going to leave that money on the table.
Yeah, he ain't giving up $50K a day.
Hey, but that $50K done changed the game.
Oh yeah, and it can't be forgiven.
Woo, that $50K. You would think someone making $39 million a year, but that $50K is the magic number.
And when you got a lawyer bill that's adding up on others, that $50,000 a day can be going to Rusty.
And,
so, the question is, what does the Texans / the NFL do now? Because he's forced their hand.
Well, they're
supposed to hit the field tomorrow,
but he's not on the zip list yet. I haven't even heard from the NFL concerning Deshaun.
Yeah, but has he been charged?
No.
Right. But there's been hasn't there been players before?
You don't have to be charged in order to go on the exempt list.
Well, if you're on the exempt list, you still get paid. So he's straight either way.
Yeah, they're not going to get out of not paying him. As long as he does the things he's doing, like showing up, they got to pay him. But you can't put him on the field right now.
Because I don't understand when Antonio Brown last year he got put on the exempt list after after those allegations that girl levied against him, that young lady levied against him in Pittsburgh, and I'm trying to figure out.
I think it was after he signed with Tampa Bay, or Tampa Bay.
No, it was before.
He was a free agent. Yeah. They put him on exempt list.
They give once he signed with Tampa Bay, that they say, "Oh well, you're suspended."
8 games. It was like
They put him on exempt list so no one would pick up his rights until they figured out what was going on, and then they said, "Okay, we're going to suspend him for 8 games. Now you can, if you want to sign him, you can sign him and deal with it from there."
Okay, I got confused.
So I think it's a situation. Do the Texans send him home? Because they can't put this dude on the field. I'm sorry. We haven't talked about it. You got 22 civil lawsuits, and now there are 10 criminal complaints that the Houston police organization are following.
Here's the situation. Here's the crazy thing about it. It doesn't seem like, Deshaun showed up. And it doesn't seem like, as far as the public statements that Rusty Hart, as his attorney is releasing, it doesn't seem like he's really concerned about it. But I mean, he's paid. He's put on that face.
Evidence. There's no evidence.
I don't know.
Yeah, and
This
Watson's maintaining his innocence, saying he didn't,
unless he signed a deposition that he was supposed to have sealed and never get out. I don't really see where they can charge him and actually have anything stick without any evidence. You can't convict somebody off of hearsay.
Mm-hmm.
And Rusty Harden is adamant that there will be no side agreements without that being made public. We not settling unless y'all agree to make the settlement public, so we can talk about all the terms and all that. Because I'm sure they're saying, okay, we'll give you some money to make this go away, but then y'all got to go out there and say that y'all made up most of this,
all these accusations.
Yeah, because if not,
to clear my guy.
Yeah, because if not, he'll end up in like Big Ben. And when Big Ben's made his cases go away, but
and that was just one or two people. But now you're talking about 22.
But Big Ben his endorsements disappeared with it.
Oh yeah.
So Deshaun he'd have to make a decision. He'd be like, okay, no more national ads. All those things go away. You'll get paid, but you won't have any of the notoriety that comes with being a professional football player.
Yeah. No more Campbell soup.
None of that.
None of that. All that go away.
So if he's confident he didn't do anything wrong, I'm not saying he did or didn't, but if he's confident, I wouldn't sign anything. I would want to make it public too.
But you ain't got nothing.
And based on what I read today, if the trial goes through and they go through, not the trial, the civil case goes through, the earliest he could be deposed, because he would be deposed last, would be February, March next year. So that's after the season.
Right. So
something has to happen.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Well, the Texans asking price if they're willing to trade him, from what the reports are saying, but the asking price is like super high.
Yeah.
Like
they should have traded him when they first said this, because there's also rumors that the Texans knew that this suit was coming. At least one or two of them.
Of course,
they had no idea the side.
I think they behind some of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think they.
You want to leave?
I'm with you. I'm
watch this
conspiracy theory.
We have no evidence to that fact, so
nope.
That's just
I'm just saying, it's kind of wild. It's kind of wild that when he was a good old boy, nothing came out, and this stuff was happening supposedly for years, and now all of a sudden he makes some noise talking about this a plantation. I want to get up out of here, and now all of a sudden, boom!
Right, just coincidentally.
I feel you. So
it'd
be interesting.
We're not defending anybody on this show,
right? No. Yeah.
But it's just kind of wild that these things surface when people turn coat on them.
Conspiracy theories.
The Jets reported to camp without really, Professor. Without their number 2 overall pick, Zach Wilson, which is funny because his salary is already slotted, so he knows he's gonna get paid $35.15 million for his 4-year contract.
What you holding out for?
And he getting $23 million roughly in the signing bonus. But they beefing off of this offset language. This is the second year where we've had this situation with top picks. And for y'all to don't know what offset is, in the event, and we've seen this happen now recently, you never used to see this happen, that if a team decides that they want to get rid of you, your contract as a first rounder is fully guaranteed, so you can get your money. But if they decide they want to get rid of you for the 4 years and you get signed by somebody else, then what the offset language would say is, we only pay you the difference between what you're making from the other team and what we owe you. And not every team does this. The Jacksonville Jaguars, who had the number 1 pick, they don't do this. So Trevor Lawrence got his contract with no offset.
Well, Zach Wilson needs it because he'll definitely be out of New York in 2 years.
He's smart.
The kicker is Justin Fields got part of his offset language kicked out. So like the first 2 years, they can't come back and get. So he's trying to figure out
He's smart too because he gonna when that first Chicago winter, he gonna want to get out there and go back to Georgia.
But he's played in Ohio State.
Right. They next door to each other.
Chicago cold is different than Ohio State cold.
I spent a lot of time in Columbus. It's not the same. Trust me, it's not the same. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. And they have nobody on the NFL roster with experience. Nobody. As far as the QB. So they got to get this dude signed, which seems like he's going to get his way. BJ, great question. I'm going to speak for myself. I think I'm speaking for my other Post brothers, but I'm going to speak for me. Anybody out there that hasn't done their own research with credible sources and still not willing to get a COVID vaccine with these variants jumping off, being each time it changes, the variants get stronger, easier to catch, and more deadly, and you are willing to put all that at risk and not do your profession that's going to pay you hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars?
Yeah, that's just going to be
I can't understand it.
Ignorance at its finest.
Hey, BJ, what we say the most on this show? We tell you, money talks.
All day.
Yeah. Business owners known as the multi-billion-dollar industry called the NFL, they do not want to see their product not be on the field in its full capacity, making them as much money as they need to. So if that means that they got to find the players to do the right thing to make sure that they stay healthy and maintain competitive balance, what you think these owners are going to do? That's exactly what they're going to do.
They're going to take the Biden approach and make it mandatory.
Got to do their research. I don't care if you believe in the virus or not. When you start affecting people's bottom lines, you're going to do exactly what they want you to do so that you as the product can be out there making the fans like us happy, because if we're not happy, we're not spending money. And if we're not spending money, their contracts aren't worth the paper that they're printed on. Money talks, bro.
And I'm so sick of these people talking about my rights. You restricting my rights. No, we're not restricting your rights. This is my company. You don't have to work here. We're not saying you can't work here. You can work here. But these are the parameters in which you can be employed at my job, my company. This is a private business. This is not a government. This is a private business. You choose to work here. But it's not preventing you from earning a living. You still earn a living. UPS,
it's a whole lot of people
hiring.
They might have a mandate too, though.
UPS might ain't gonna be making these hundreds of millions, hundreds of thousands to millions.
Right, I got my rights. Sometimes money.
Welcome to Walmart.
Right, yeah, yeah. That's just real life. And for everybody that's out there, that some people can have valid reasons why they're hesitant.
I get it.
And if that's your reason, that's fine. But you have to deal with the consequences of having those reasons.
Patrick, stop it, bro. Patrick,
just like kids got to get vaccinated to go to school. Guess what? You got to get vaccinated to come here to work, because this thing is killing people.
Yes.
And you not like Professor J said, you not messing up my money.
Exactly.
You not, because I'll mess up your money before you mess up my money. And they talking about the whole team you gotta pay if a team comes down and it forces the cancellation.
Yeah,
that team has to pay the other team.
Okay.
Yeah, they ain't playing that.
But it's about time, though. It's about time that they finally put this into effect. They should have did this 6 months ago, and maybe we would already be out of this situation that we in.
Yeah. And then your teammates fucking you up in the locker room because you forfeited the game.
Can you imagine somebody losing a game check because you didn't get vaccinated, and if you bought something from your household into the locker room that caused the game to get? You talk about
and don't let one of them players, they little secret. They supposed to get them a Birkin bag. And they can't go get that Birkin bag now. Oh man, shoot, boy, they're gonna cause all kind of problems. All kind of problems.
And the only reason why the players have the option is because they had the Players Association and they bargained that.
Now they hate the Players Association
because you saw that the coaches who have an association but not as strong as the Players Association, it's not an option. If you are a tier 1 employee, which means you're a coach that's face to face with the players, or staff that's face to face with the players, it's not optional. If you want to work for NFL, you have to be vaccinated. And 2 coaches have already had to lose their jobs because they refuse, thinking that, they ain't gonna do that.
All right.
No, sir. You cannot work here. So
stay on the right.
Do what you want. But yeah.
I applaud the NFL.
So that's how we feel, BJ. We trying to protect everybody.
Right.
And if y'all think this is over, y'all fooling yourselves. It's getting right here, just like last year.
Yep.
It got a little easy. Then summer hit, people start moving around, and now more people are moving than ever. It started going up, and then we got the nasty stuff in the fall and winter. We can have the same thing happen. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
But on a good note, to the Washington football team fans, they had 2 extensions that were signed this week. Defensive tackle Jonathan Allen got a 4-year, $72 million extension, $30 million guaranteed. Tight end Logan Thomas,
who destroyed Pittsburgh in the playoffs.
Yeah,
he got a 3-year extension.
No, not the playoffs. In the game leading to the playoffs.
3-year extension, $24 million, $10 million guaranteed. This is a man that went from college quarterback, tried to make the NFL's quarterback, kept getting cut, switched positions, and now is getting paid. So, and then out in the desert. It's been quiet, but he's supposed to report tomorrow. Chandler Jones of the Arizona Cardinals is not happy, probably because he saw them give J.J. Watt all that money, and he like J.J. Watt gonna be making almost as much money as I do this year, and I've been here, and he old.
Yeah, right. He's on the wall.
It's not. Look, life ain't fair. It's not.
True story.
I mean, I like Chandler Jones. He come from a famous family. His brother Bone Jones. I mean, his other brother played for the Ravens. I mean, but he's not J.J. Watt. I mean, I'm just sorry.
It's levels, bro. It's levels.
True story. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happened there. But Chandler's a beast. If you look at since he's been in NFL, I think he's number 2 in sacks since he's been in NFL. But again, he still ain't J.J. Watt.
Nah,
it's that name.
Hey, Chandler, you can hold out $50,000 a day.
Ain't nobody holding out no more. That's the man. I don't know who came up with that number, but ain't nobody
$50K a day.
That's all I say to him.
$50K a day takes the holdout away.
Missing out that money.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Last segment. We got to talk about the Olympics. I was hoping that we would be able to talk about, the fun things about the Olympics here in 2021. But we got a major story. Two major stories overnight. First, while most of us were asleep, Naomi Osaka lost in the 3rd round of the tennis tournament. And right after the tournament, she said the pressure she's been under being the host in the host country, and then the fact that she's been the face of this thing for now 5 years just got to her, and she didn't play her best because of all that mountain pressure.
I think Naomi need to take some time off, man. I think she just needs to chill for a little bit. She's only 5?
I don't think she's 24.
Yeah, I think she needs to chill for a little bit.
And then later this morning, we started plashing all over anything you want to watch or have a phone in the U.S. Simone Biles drops out of the team competition. Now, instantly people thought she injured herself.
That's what they were saying on CNN. But on the stations I was peeping at, they were saying she quit.
And she addressed that fact.
Yes.
That she said that the pressure of this Olympic Games have been building up so much for her that between their practice and the actual event was 5 hours. She said she was shaking so much she couldn't even stand still. And that all this pressure built up so much. And in her first vault attempt, their first day, this is the best vaulter in the world who has a vault named after and was going to have a second vault named after her in this Olympics, because you have to do an Olympics or world champion to get a move named after you. She lost track in the middle of a vault.
So she did the right thing.
So she immediately knew my head is not in this, and the stuff that I try to do, if I'm not 100% in this, I can get really hurt.
The thing is, I'm glad, I'm happy. Well, first of all, I'm not happy that this happened to her, but I'm happy that it happened in 2021 and not 1984 or 1992.
Because she would have got killed.
Because she would have been crucified.
She's already getting killed a little bit.
Yeah,
But she would have got killed.
If you go on some of these underground message boards, she's getting destroyed. Yeah. But I mean,
that's because most people don't understand how mental health impacts a person.
I agree with you, but I'm just saying that we understand that. Obviously, we've talked about it extensively on this show. But I'm just happy for her mentals that it happened now as opposed to before, because she already has a couple strikes against her. Unfortunately, whether we want to admit it or not, she has to deal with a whole bunch of stuff that a lot of people. Naomi has to deal with the same stuff. Doesn't necessarily have to deal with. So I'm just hopefully she'll get better. Hopefully, you know what, she can just withdraw from the Olympics. I know she still has to make the decision if she's going to do her individual drills, competitions, but yeah. Hopefully
I think Simone, when she was doing, because I was watching her do the gymnastics and she was making a few mistakes, and you could tell that you could see the passion in her approach, but her mentality to me just wasn't there. And just like you said, doing that vault, you have to be 100% focused on that vault. And I think she was not only the pressure, but I think she still has reservations about the situations that she dealt with previously
with the U.S. Olympic team. Absolutely.
Right. And I think, all those emotions in her approach in trying to succeed and still be the best, it just was just too much. And she said, I can't do it.
But look here, here's the problem. And if nobody else want to say it, I'm going to say it. It's still the question about race as well. Because whenever somebody of another color comes out, and white person comes out and say they deal with depression, they deal with mental health and things like that, they give them a foundation. They give them a platform. And Michael Phelps is lauded for the things that he does. And I'm not taking anything away from him. But the moment he opened his mouth about mental health issues and things like that, he got celebrated. So now when people of color tell you that they struggle with some of the same things, then all of a sudden you want to trash them and do all these things. Can't none of y'all do an iota of what they do out there.
None.
You got that right.
You need to shut your mouth, number one. Number two, if you've never been through this type of stuff, then how in the world can you criticize? Don't tell me somebody quit when you don't understand the weight that they got on them. She is leading an entire nation, the face of a sport. And you're going to crucify her because she has to withdraw because she can't deal with the weight of that? I mean, how in the world, how hypocritical can you be because of that? But you'll celebrate somebody that look like some of you all. You'll pat them on the back and say it's okay. But when people of color do it, it's like they can't take the pressure. They can't handle this.
I mean, what pressure do you have? You're making this in millions
Exactly. And I'm gonna tell you, when you a black athlete performing on this type of level, you can go all the way back to Debbie Thomas. She was clearly the gold medal winner in that Olympics, but she had to skate with all that pressure, being the first African American dealing with this, leading the U.S., and she faltered and ended up with the bronze. But y'all don't understand how it feels to be black and leading a sport where not many African Americans are in, and you trying to carry that banner for an entire country. So if you don't understand it, man, y'all need to just be quiet, man.
Speak on it, bro. Speak on it.
And then it was a perfect storm.
Right.
you add, and J3, you hit it. She always had reservations about competing for the U.S. gymnastics team, not the U.S. Olympic team, the gymnastics team, because they haven't correctly addressed the situation and what they're going to do to fix it. That's why her and her coach opened her own gym to show that there's a different way where you can still compete at the elite Olympics level and still have fun. She was going to retire. The only reason why she was in the Olympics, she said that if I retire, there's nobody else left from the previous Olympics, which will allow them to sweep this under the rug.
Should be celebrated.
Then you add on COVID and isolation. So you've been isolated for over a year in a bubble, trying to perform. The Olympics get postponed for a year, so that's another year you got to deal with that. And then you finally go to the Olympics, and nobody can go with you. So now you're competing in an arena that's empty. None of your family members who are there to support you, to keep you going when you're down there. The crowd, hearing the adulation from the fans, you get none of that now. So all you got is the stuff that's weighing on you constantly. And guess what era she grew up in? She grew up with one of these in her hand all the time. Her and Naomi both grew up in the social media area. So all these 30, 40, 50 plus people out here talking about you should just suck it up and all that, they didn't grow up having to deal with this. And guess what? They have to be on social media to build their brand. So they get inundated with thousands, if not millions, of messages weekly, and a lot of them are negative.
Daily, bro. Daily, not weekly, daily.
And that's all building up. And she said, enough's enough. I hope that she decides, I'm just going to stay here and be a cheerleader for my teammates, and I'm just not competing, and I'm done, and I'm retiring. She's a millionaire. She's got her own gym, as I said. She can do a whole lot of things. Let's just walk away and go from there.
And keep her head up.
Absolutely.
And keep her head up.
And did you hear what she said later? I hope that the American fans still support us and are proud of us, even though we just got the silver.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And those three other young ladies, unfortunately, this happened after the competition started. So the U.S. Olympic team couldn't use one of their two substitutes because it already started. So those three other young ladies carried water, did their thing, and came home with the silver after being behind by more than a point after Simone's first vault was terrible, and then she didn't do a second vault. So that's tremendous. So
Yeah.
hats off to the women's gymnastics team, and hats off to Simone Biles. And you are absolutely right. I think what Naomi Osaka did in the French Open and skipping Wimbledon allowed her to feel okay where she could say, you know what, I'm not feeling right, and I'm not going to risk hurting myself. So it's good. It's good. Real quick, some other highlights. We're going to have time to really talk about this because we're running a little long. U.S. men's team lose the first game of the Olympics. Under Greg Popovich, their record is 4-5 since he took over the U.S. basketball team.
Bring Coach K back.
Who's
He
that
ain't got
leader?
He ain't got Tim Duncan walking through the door.
But you got Kevin Durant. Who's
Man,
supposed
Kevin
to be
got
the richest player in the world.
Trouble.
Supposed to be the richest player in the world.
Come on, man. Stop that, man.
We need some presence down low, fellas. I'm sorry.
They physical and international ball.
All they do is shoot
That paint.
threes. They
Right.
they live that life. That's their life. Luka had a game.
Oh, Luka had a
48.
monster game his first game.
48 piece.
That's
My
right.
man.
But Luka's used to playing that brand of
I know
basketball.
he is. I know he is.
So the U.S., and unfortunately, this is going for when things get bad, who do they call to clean stuff up?
Michael Jordan.
Grant Hill was named the new executive of U.S. basketball. So Grant Hill's going to have to clean this up.
Hey, they need to break the glass. Bring Michael
King.
Jordan back.
Yeah,
No, Mike can't pick players.
LeBron
yeah.
James.
So I think what they're going to have to
Magic
do, like they did before, is they're going to have to get a multi-year commitment from players that if you're going to be on the team, You're going to commit for 3 years through the 4 cycles. So you're going to play world championships together, Olympic pre-tournaments together, and Olympics together. Because we can't just be throwing an all-star team together in 2 weeks and say, "Oh, go win the gold medal."
Right.
It doesn't work.
Not no more.
Especially not with Pop coaching, who plays a system where you got to work as a unit and all that, and you got to build chemistry. You got time to do that. So,
Coach K just let him play.
You saw what Drew Holiday did. He stepped off the plane and scored 18 points. He was like, "I don't know what job been doing, but I'm trying to win.
I'm ready to ball." Yeah.
Well, they all been in the Bahamas. They've been in Aruba, south of France.
Yeah. Some quick upsets. USA softball, women's softball, lost to Japan in the gold medal game. That was somewhat a softball. Katie Ledecky, probably the GOAT of freestyle swimming in women, came in second in the 400 meters.
But there was an asterisk.
She swam her second fastest time ever.
Yeah. Fourth fastest time ever.
Fourth time but her second fastest time that she's ever swam behind her world record. So, I mean, that was a hell of a...
That show you how much Titmus wanted to take her out and how her crazy coach drove her.
That dude went insane.
Man.
Didn't he?
You'd have thought he'd hit the lottery the way he was up and down. It's like, dude.
And then Ryan Murphy, Mr. Backstroke, who won 100 and 200 in the last Olympics, is the current world champion, comes in third, wins the bronze. First time the U.S. has lost the men's backstroke in four Olympic cycles. And probably the nicest thing I've seen so far as in the pool, Lydia Jacoby, young lady from Alaska.
Yeah.
Wins the 100-meter breaststroke, taking out world champion and defending Olympic champion Lily King and her training partner, who ends up coming in third. But somebody from Alaska, where they only have one Olympic-sized pool in the whole state, wins the gold medal.
I could see Russia from my house.
So currently, the U.S. has been leading the medal count, 25 total, 9 golds, 8 silver, 8 bronze, followed by China with 21, Japan 18, Russia with 18. And just some history that was made. The first ever U.S. fencing medal happens to be gold. Lee Kiefer wins in the individual foil, and the first ever Taekwondo medal for the U.S., Anastasia Zolotic, won the gold medal in the featherweight division. So hats off, young ladies. Y'all did mad work. And one Olympic thing, it's ending tomorrow. If you haven't had a chance to watch 3-on-3 basketball, look it up on your laptop. You can see the previous game. It is one of the most fascinating styles of basketball I've seen in years. And I think it's going to be a huge hit across this world. 12-minute games. 12 minutes. It's time of the whole game. 3-on-3. And you make a basket. The other team, you let the other team get the ball. As soon as they touch the ball, you can start D'ing them up. So it's not walking back to the foul line, checking it, all that. So if they grab it right out the nets, then you can start D'ing them up. The other team has to take it back to the three-point line before they start offense. But it's constant, nonstop pace for 12 minutes. The first to 21, or win it, the one with the most points at the end of 12 minutes. It's a fun game. Please take 15 minutes out of your day. Check out 3-on-3 basketball, whether you look at the men's basketball, which is phenomenal, or the women. The U.S. women went undefeated in their pool, and they play in the semifinals early this morning coming up. And then hopefully they're winning, may go to the final games, which is also this morning. Check it out.
Yeah.
All right. We're not going to do a lot of things that caught our eye. Just some interesting stuff happening in hockey. Ovi re-signed with the Caps. Great job. Your boy Marc-Andre Fleury gets traded from the Vegas Knights, and he finds out on social media. How does that still happen today?
Because Vegas, they're blaming him for their loss in the finals. Actually, the semifinals. I'm sorry.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, you talking about dirty?
Well, he done got dirty. Pittsburgh did him dirty, so I guess he should be used to it by now.
And congrats to Naomi Osaka. Even though she lost, she said she had the experience of a lifetime. They allowed her to light the cauldron at the Olympic Games in an open ceremony. And if you do any research about biracial children from Asian countries and how they're generally not accepted, that was a huge moment. So I just wanted to make sure I point that out. All right, fellas. It's been a good show. We talked a lot about it. Probably could go for another half hour to an hour, but it's time for us to get out of here. So let's get to our final post. J3, what you got for me?
Real quick, I just want to salute all the service persons or people that played in or participated in the 2021 Olympics. I salute you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Professor, you up?
Yes, I want to give a shout out to Olympian Naja Houston. Skateboarding was a new event in the Olympics, and he's an African-American skateboarder. He was favored to win the gold, but just like what happened to so many people when you got that weight on your shoulders, he tried to do one of his staple moves that nobody else could accomplish, and he didn't hit it. And it cost him points and penalties and everything, and he ended up not medaling at all. But keep your eye out for Mr. Houston, because he will definitely be back, because he is definitely a force to reckon with, and he's done some great things in the sport, especially for one where you don't have a lot of African Americans that go up to that level to be mentioned with the names of like Tony Hawk. I mean, that's epic. So shout out to him and salute.
Excellent point. He's been a child prodigy for real. He started winning professional tournaments at the age of like 12.
Yeah.
And he's only like 23, 24 now, and is regarded by most as the best skateboarder in the world now. So good point, Professor J. All right, Seth, you up.
I just want to give a quick salute and shout out to Gardner Minshew for having irrational confidence and not taking defeat lying down, even though you already know what's going to happen. Standing your ground and saying, I ain't giving up no starting job. Salute to you, sir.
That was a good one, sis. I heard that and almost fell out my chair. And he was serious.
Mm-hmm. Mike Leach don't coach that team.
Wow.
You up, Ed?
Hey, I don't have anything related. I just want to say a couple things. I just want to say, hey, mask up. Everybody continue to be safe. I'll say that until this thing is over with. If it's ever over with. That's all I have today.
And I will continue on that vein. We talked a lot of sports today, so I would just like to tell people, please be safe. Please check your places that you feel confident are going to give you good information. It is the CDC changed today their guidance, even for people who are fully vaccinated. If you're going into areas where you know that the Delta variant has been rising, or if you're going into highly dense areas where you're not sure that everybody you're going to be around is vaccinated, they're telling people to put their mask back on inside.
Double up.
So please mask up. And if you're traveling, I would highly suggest if you're getting on planes, trains, buses, double mask and make sure you continue to wash your hands before you touch your face, anything. This thing isn't going away anytime soon. And unfortunately, I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. So protect yourself, and hopefully we can avoid having another lockdown. But if it keeps going in the direction it's heading, that might be coming.
Please mask up, because we want to start going to games again. Thank you.
Amen.
As always, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in and listening. We greatly appreciate your time and the opportunity to share our opinions on sports with you. We're here each and every Tuesday, 7 p.m. for our live show. Just in case you can't catch us live, you can catch us on our Facebook page, Positional Sports Talk Show, our YouTube page. If you want to send us information, hit us with the Twitter handle at Positions on SPO1. If you don't want to do the pages and you like podcasts, we've got all the podcast platforms covered. Just look at Positions on Sports Talk Show and you can find us. We've got multiple shows there. We've got at least a half a year of shows were already there because unfortunately we weren't able to bring some of the stuff from the other platform that we were on. So we out there. We're going to continue to get bigger and better. We're going to continue to work at this so that we can bring you a good show and a product each and every week. So we'll be back next Tuesday, 7 p.m. We hope to see you there. Peace.
See ya.
Bless you.